there, just go to podnutz.com/m-helpdesk. That's the letter M, help desk. And thank you.
I, for one, am going to try that for free because I have made a decision that starting at the first of the year, I'm no longer going to be use Microsoft Accounting 2009.
Okay.
But I didn't know what I was going to go to yet. So I will definitely try that. And like you, I really don't want to go to QuickBooks. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. I've thought about, well, maybe I'll give them another try because their user interface was just so horrible back then. And I've looked at it and it hasn't got any better.
I know.
It's still a horrible product.
I know.
I don't get it. Why can you not make this? I don't know. I don't know why Microsoft gave up on theirs for one, but
I know
that would have been nice too. But.
Well, when I was using Microsoft Accounting 2008, I called up and I had a hard time even finding somebody who knew at Microsoft who knew the product even existed. So they definitely weren't putting a lot of attention on it. But I still like that. Yeah,
and I'm so worried that something's going to happen and my data is going to be stuck in some file format that only Microsoft 2009 can read that I cannot find another copy of. Right. Even though I think I've got a couple burnt just to cover that. But
yeah, you can. I think you could do just normal CSV reports on accounting. I'm pretty sure I did that. But yeah, and it is funny. QuickBooks. It's like why it's like an artist, and he wants to create a painting, and you basically hand him, I don't know, 12 cans of sealed paint, which are impossible to open. Like instead of handing him a palette of colors just ready with a brush, it's like, just give me something I can use. Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Well, at least we got more solutions.
Are they Canadian?
I don't know.
That was just a jab at Chris. I'm sorry. I think they are though.
They might be. I hear they're ruining Mint too. People used to love Mint. Now that's getting all botched up.
Yeah, I never really got into Mint. I was kind of a little leery about it.
Oh, you think
when it first came out?
What could possibly scare you about giving away all your bank account information?
Yeah, I don't know. I've only had my credit card just changed like last month because somebody started making a credit card purchase some other state. So I don't know.
Oh, really? That was your credit card? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I wasn't. Yeah, well, it's all right. At least it was at a hotel. That was cool. Hope you had fun.
I bought beer 30 with it. No, that sucks. I'm sorry your credit card got taken.
Nah, it was no big deal. They caught it before it even affected me one bit.
Oh, good. Yeah, banks are getting pretty good at that these days.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so we do have a couple emails. Want me to read them?
Sure.
All right, we have one from Ralph. Two from Ralph. He says, Chris on Nuts at Night, speaking of Chris, mentioned he liked system information for Windows. I wanted to know if you guys knew about a similar tool by Bellark. I have included the link just in case. Thanks for an awesome set of shows from Ralph. And this is the Bellark Advisor. I've used this.
Yeah, I've used this too.
Haven't used it in a while. How is it these days, Eric?
I haven't. Honestly, it's been a while for me too, but I do remember it using it before. I haven't used it for quite some time.
Yeah, if you guys want to check it out, it's at bellark.com. That's BELARC.com, and it basically gives you a detailed profile of your installed software, hardware, network inventory, missing Microsoft hotfixes, antivirus, all this stuff. Like if you want to know what's going on in the machine and you need to know what kind of hardware it has in it, which is what I basically used it for when I was using it. It's free. You just go to Bellark and download it, and I think it's a good suggestion, Ralph.
Yeah, very good suggestion. In fact, I'll probably check it out again because it's been so long. I just totally kind of forgot about it.
Yeah. So many tools these days.
Yeah, there is, yeah. A lot of overlap that you kind of get stuck in using one thing. You don't want to, it's good to try new stuff.
Sure.
There's definitely going to be features that you don't have in something like that.
That was actually one thing that Podnutz created for me was different methods. Because if I was in my shop sitting there getting stuck in my own, using the same tools over and over, and I can't tell you the number of times when I did a show on Podnutz Daily, and somebody wrote in and go, "Why aren't you using this? Have you ever heard of this?" I'm like, "No," and I tried it and it worked. So that's one thing that these shows are really good for, trying different things.
Yeah, people try to get me off of AdAware and Spybot Search and Destroy. I just can't see anything better than those two.
What?
Just kidding.
I know Eric has a sense of humor, and I was hoping he was using it there because those tools they're pretty beat up, aren't they, these days?
Yeah, they were great back in the day. They were, and now they're not.
All right, here's another one from Ralph. He says, to check and see if Microsoft is watching what you do in Windows 7, go to Start button and search type Customer Experience. So you do a search and you type in Customer Experience. It should be the top option in the search. Make sure it is set to no to turn off tracking. Thanks for the shows, Ralph. I guess we must have talked about that at a show. I don't remember, but so that's interesting. I didn't even know.
There's quite a few programs that when you install that will ask you that. I think Internet Explorer 9, every time that installs, I remember, do you want to be included in the customer experience to help Microsoft? Yeah, I mean, I don't know if what they're taking from you, but if you don't want them to, don't give it to them for free. Yeah, they got money. They could probably pay you to check out what you're doing if they wanted to.
Right. I also tend to not accept those when I'm prompted with them, either from Google, Microsoft, or anybody. But I guess if there's some turned on by default, which may very well be the case in Windows, if you install it, you're part of the customer experience. Ralph just gave us a tip to turn it off.
I'm going to check my computer after the podcast and see if it is on mine.
I know. I want to do it right now.
I know, me too. I always, all my customers' computers, that never gets turned on. Even with antivirus, I think some of the free antiviruses, AVG maybe, and some of the other ones, they'll ask the same thing. I think enough people will probably click through that and not read it to provide the antivirus people enough information that they don't need my customers' information.
That's how I justify it too.
Yeah.
You gotta just say that. All right. Quick announcement here before we end off the show, and I want to talk about one thing with Eric here since it just happened. Not with Eric, but some other tech subject. We're going to be taking a month off from Podnutz, and we're going to come back after a month. It is just simply to give me a little break from podcasting. We're going to take some time again, like I do this every once in a while. I work on some projects. I get some ducks in a row. I help create things that will keep allowing me to do this show financially. So I have to create products and do things here and there and try to create some funds. So we're going to be taking a month off from Podnutz to just give me a little break. And there might be a couple shows continuing. I think Door's going to continue doing Linux for the rest of us. If you want to tune in, you got to watch it live to see it. And Podnutz Pro, I'm not sure. I got to ask those guys. But as for the rest of the shows, we're just going to take a break. This will give you an opportunity, guys, to go back and listen to all the Podnutz shows that you have not caught up on. And then we'll be back with fresh content, and it'll be a good time. So I just want to give an announcement, let you guys know that. That is what's going to be happening. Do not worry. There's no rumors here to spread. Podnutz is not going anywhere. This is not Steve saying there's no more Podnutz. So please do not think that. It's just taking a little break. That's all.
Steve, what's the show number again?
This show is 330.
Oh, see, now 33 is a magic number, and sometimes it signifies things that mean things. So I'm glad you made the explanation why we're not on after this.
Thank you, because I think if I didn't tell Eric this, then he would start saying 33 is the magic number. Podnutz is no longer with us.
Good. I'm glad it's just a coincidence.
Hey, what do you think about? I know people have been talking about this the whole time, but I started actually watching shows that are discussing it, and Steve Jobs passed away. And people are taking this really hard. I mean, people are crying and stuff and saying it's just like their world has changed. I mean, I didn't expect such a huge I expected it, all the news all over, but I didn't expect such an emotional reaction from a lot of the guys out there. What do you think about it?
I think the biggest surprise to me is how fast it came. After, it just... I didn't, I expected maybe he was having problems again, but I didn't expect, what was it been, less than a month since he stepped down already? It was too soon, man. I mean, the guy's not that old. He's only 56 years old.
Yeah.
It's really sad. For any person, and Steve Jobs is an absolute genius. I mean, he has. I love my Android in my pocket, but it wouldn't be there if it wasn't for Steve Jobs. Honestly, we'd still be using StarTAC or something, phones. The iPhone has really indirectly changed the way I do my business and spend my time. I don't own any Apple products. I had iTunes for about 10 minutes, and I've never used anything Apple, but I know that indirectly he really helped out the way I use technology.
Oh yeah, I'm with you. He definitely was a genius, and he was just unwavering in his the commitment to get what he thought was right. And I think that's why his products came out so good, because can you imagine wanting to put out like an all aluminum laptop that's unibody? You know how many people are going to say, Steve, you know how expensive that would be? I don't really think that's a good idea. You know how hard that is going to be to make? I don't think it's going to work. I think it's going to overheat. And he just did not. I'm sure he got all that and just didn't care. I think probably through his life to the point where people just stopped trying to challenge him and just let him go. You know what I mean? But it takes a real determination to like push away all the BS and just get what you want. So I really respect him for that. And his hardware, the hardware Apple created is fantastic hardware. I'm really, really impressed. I like my Apple products a lot. They're just dependable. You know what I mean? So
if Steve Jobs wasn't there in his position, you probably would never seen an all aluminum laptop like that.
Exactly.
There's a designer could have come up with that idea at 5 other companies, and it wouldn't have seen the light of day, just like you say.
Right.
But luckily, he was where he was, and he had the idea.
Yes.
And that changed a lot of things, along with the iPad and iPhone. Other people might have said, "Hey, let's just make a big piece of glass and put buttons that aren't really there on it." And people might say, "Well, that's going to break." So no, we're not going to do that.
Exactly. Yeah, I really do appreciate him for that. So he definitely contributed, like in a humongous way. But to all the people I think who are saying nobody will ever come around like him again, well, I don't think that that's true. I mean, there's so many people on this planet, and there's a lot of smart people, and there are people like Jobs that are coming through, growing up, coming through the ranks, and we're going to see people like Steve Jobs. I think